Maxine Dupri booing. So
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention, I mentioned Elimination Chamber first because Rhea Ripley actually had a tweet out about Maxine Dupri, but here's the story itself. A number of WWE female talents have come to the defense of Maxine Dupri, formerly of your favourite WWE faction, Maximum Male Models, as she's been struggling with wrestling since transitioning into an in-ring talent and on and off televised events. And during a house show a couple of days ago, or weeks ago, whenever it was, Maxine got booed out of the building. So Rhea Ripley wrote this on Twitter: I really wish that some of you got booed and ridiculed in the public eye while being new at your job. Learning and getting better is all a part of being human. Be better as humans. So essentially we have a very green wrestler getting booed for a subpar performance as the fans saw it. Is this an overreaction by Rhea Ripley? Do people need to be more understanding?
No, I agree and I disagree with Miss Ripley. I really do. Fans pay money for a ticket. They expect that performance to be like the other WWE performances. It needs to be just a little bit close to it. But apparently, Maxine Dupri's performance that night wasn't anywhere close to what they would expect. So therefore, their fans, they can say whatever they want to say and then determine whether they want to continue watching WWE or buying tickets to their live events. That's their right. And what Rhea said, yeah, fans need to put themselves there. Yeah, they do, but they don't. And they're completely valid in their criticism of it. But by the same token, they bought a ticket so they can voice their opinion. I think everybody is right here and everybody is kind of a little bit wrong. So you can't blame the fans whether they like it or not. That's their prerogative in buying a ticket. And I think Rhea was just taking up, and apparently they're friends, you can tell. And Rhea likes her, which is great. Now, maybe the girls will get together back there and make it a joint project to help Maxine out a little bit. I read that she didn't really train that much at NXT, and they brought her up too soon.
Yes,
and which is a problem because this really is not her fault. If you want to stretch this out and really assign blame to a lot of places, you got to assign the person who brought her up too soon. That would be Triple H, right? He brought her up too soon. And you also got to assign blame to the Performance Center because they didn't get her ready in time. And so, and you can't blame the fans because the fans are they're just reacting to what they've seen and the progress that the Performance Center made with her, which is an indictment of the Performance Center, I believe. And Rhea, I kind of congratulate her for taking up for her fellow wrestler in the back. But it's you almost have a victim here of that. Who is the victim here? I think it's Maxine. She's the ultimate victim. It's not the fans. It's not anybody else. It's her because she's doing the best she can. She didn't go out there and intentionally screw things up on purpose. She's doing the best she can. So is that the best non-answer you've never heard?
No, it's a perfectly valid answer, quite frankly. And you're right, WWE ultimately is, I mean, they're putting her out there. And yes, house shows especially are for improvements, but also keep in mind that half of her matches pretty much have been on TV. She wrestled on NXT in like a 6 or 8 person match one time. And then she's rushed.
Okay, wait a minute. She was in an 8-man tag?
Or an 8-person tag in NXT. That's the only time she had a match before going to WWE full-time. And she was a manager.
They picked her. She was the manager and they picked her out?
Well, she was the manager. She's been a manager on WWE TV,
I know
main
that.
roster in a while as well. But yeah, I don't know how much she's trained.
What were they booing?
Oh, no. When they were booing her, that was a match.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that she had one match ever in NXT prior. And this is, a year or two ago. And it's WWE's fault.
I think this is what they're going to do in WWE now, I think they pay attention to their criticism a lot more strongly than they probably did before when Vince was there. And I think they'll take this a little bit closer to the vest than what they took criticism before. And I think Triple H, he doesn't like criticism like that. I don't blame him. But I think they will make her a pet project, and they may send her back down to NXT if they're going to use her at all. Because I think there is money with this girl, I think, because she looks great. And let's see what they can do with her. If they take that project and they can turn her into something, more power to them. But just because you go to NXT and you train with the best, in-ring best, doesn't mean you actually get the business. You understand what I mean by saying get it?
Yeah.
Well, people, when they go to the ring, if they can connect, and I talk a lot about connectivity with performers and fans, if they can connect, she didn't have to worry about really wrestling moves. Like Dusty Rhodes, just take Dusty Rhodes for example. As a wrestler, he couldn't do that stuff. He didn't do arm drags and drop kicks and that stuff. He did boogie woogie and move around and do his hands like Handsome Jimmy. Handsome Jimmy is another one. But they drew tons of money. They sold tons of tickets. And that's what promoters look at it. And if you can excite fans, that's it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. If you can excite fans like Dusty Rhodes, I mean, that's an extreme example of sort of, charisma
yes, it is.
And connecting with the fans. But okay, let me put it this way. What if she was in ECW in the 90s and wrestled a subpar match? She would have, with the reaction of the fans there, she would have quit the business that night. Are people just soft these days? You got a bit of booing. One person said, "Maxine, you suck." That was it. I mean,
hey,
this is just 2024. I mean, God, cowboy up. Just deal with it.
Fans bought a ticket. They can say and react however they want.
Exactly.
Thank God she wasn't in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, even back 20 years ago, they were brutal, even if you were good. Hey, Dutch, F you, man, blah, blah, get a job, this.
And that was Jerry Jarrett.
Oh, yeah, that was Vince.
That was Vince.
But they were brutal. But we knew about the Philadelphia fan. We knew about how they were. So we went out, but we embraced that the fans are going to be against you. Even if you're a good guy, even if you're a baby face, they could be against you because they live for that. They live to get a reaction. And when you realize that, then you can go ahead with your stuff.
Ah, dear. As you say, paying fans. I mean, fans go, they pay their hard-earned money to let out their aggressions. I mean, that's right. That's part of the contract as a performer. If you can't take a bit of booing, I mean, if it's something like incredibly personal or hurtful, then I get it. But she's had 13 matches,
and they're putting her on TV.
Yeah, this was a house show, but they're putting her on TV wrestling as well, like 2-minute matches and stuff. She had a struggle against Rhea Ripley, in fact, recently.
Was that on TV?
With Rhea Ripley, yes. The house show, I don't even know.
Rhea Ripley doesn't even. She didn't have. Rhea Ripley doesn't even have enough experience to put her on TV in like a squash match. She doesn't know what she's doing yet either. She doesn't. I don't know if anybody has taken the time to really explain pro wrestling to some of these people. Apparently not. But you got to be set down. And sometimes some people respond to yelling and really getting on somebody. Other people, other performers respond to people talking to them in a calm way and explaining wrestling in a rational way. And you got to find that what they respond to and see if they get better. But I've never been a screamer and a hollerer, I say, because that to me gets you nowhere. You might as well say, come here a minute, sit down, blah, blah, blah. And let's try it this way. And you got to watch them every night. That's why the territories were better, because when I brought a green guy in, say I brought him into Memphis or I brought him into Puerto Rico, and I would go out there and I would watch his match. And then when he come back, then I would sit him down for a 5-minute critique. I didn't spend a lot of time with it, and tell him, do this, don't do that, speed this up, get a little higher on your drop kick, work on it, blah, blah, blah. And see, that's why the card trips years ago was really an extension of a training session. Because we would go and have a match, and I was green as hell. We'd get in the car and we'd have a few beers. And first of all, now the veterans, they didn't know me, and I wasn't a friend. I was just like some guy coming in off the street, and I might not even be there next week for all they cared. But then they'd have a few beers, and I would tell the guy, "Did you see my match?" Is that what you call it? Then they loosen up. Then they start kidding. I said, "Yeah. What'd you think?" "Oh, it's the shits. It's horrible, blah, blah, blah. Get a job." But then they would kind of accept me a little bit. Then they'd start helping me. And slow down. You're way, way too fast. You're trying to sell the people on the mat, not trying to make it look like you're running a speed race. And everything they said had meaning, and that's basically how I learned the business. Sitting in the back seat of a car on the way back, not on the way down, because I was doing the driving on the way down, but on the way back, and I was probably driving on the way back, but they were telling me all this stuff that I could do to improve my work. And that's as good as a training session, and I got it for free. And I got advice from the top workers in the business.
And these days, if you messed up, someone else will tweet, "Don't be so mean to that guy."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see the little girl who sang the national anthem at some game, basketball game or something?
No.
She's about 8 years old, 9. And she was a horrible singer. Oh, they just lambasted her. I don't think they booed her when she left. I don't know. But she was out there in red, white, and blue dress, and it was like America the Beautiful, and she was singing that song. And go look it up, and you just got to hear it. Even the basketball players were doing this. Oh my God, they was afraid to let their faces be, because they were laughing. But they didn't want their faces out there because people would get mad at them for laughing, that little 8-year-old. And they should. But whoever put her out there needs to be lambasted. They need to be bullwhipped at sunup. And the girl busted her ass. She sang at the top of her voice. She was just off key. But I want everybody to go see it. Look it up. The little girl singing the national anthem or at a basketball game. I don't even know who was playing.